I'm looking at a recently concluded case, the case of Oscar Pistorius, and how,
how fast, efficient
yes,
it is.
and we're wondering, what kind of system does the South African judicial system operate that, we cannot seem to borrow relief from?
Did you see interlocutory applications in that matter? Did you see objections and appeals arising out of interlocutory applications? A timeline was set for the trial, and they exceeded the time, but they tried to keep religiously to the timeline that is set for the trial. There's nothing that says that you cannot go on appeal on interlocutory appeal. There's nothing that says so. But why would this stop trial? Especially as the EFCC Act says that there shall be no stay of proceedings. Interlocutory applications shall not act as a stay of appeals. Interlocutory appeals shall not act as a stay of proceedings. The EFCC Act says so. But then what happens? They will come to court, some other lawyers, defense lawyers, and say, look, the Constitution is superior to the EFCC Act, and the Constitution guarantees the right of appeal. And concomitant to that right of appeal, is a right to have your appeal heard before the trial can proceed. And then many judges agree with them and stay despite the provisions of the EFCC Act. How do you solve this problem? Simply amend the Constitution to make it a constitutional provision that shall be superior to all acts, that there shall be no stay of proceedings in criminal matters. Put it in the Constitution.
Sounds simple.
And yes, sounds simple. And arm the prosecutors. Does it not sound simple? Why are they not doing it?
Did the conference even address this for you?
They were collecting money at the conference. Did you hear them say that they wanted even allowances for their drivers and all that? Do you think those people at the conference, they have any moral right to question the National Assembly again? And I was very disturbed by our colleagues, some of our colleagues which I saw at that national conference. Waste of time, waste of resources, waste of everything that conference was, the confab was. On the platform of my ethnic group, they nominated me. They called me and said, well, I said, no, I'm not interested. I declined. On the platform of my ethnic group, I was to be nominated. Because complete waste of national resources that confab was.
It's strange that we know what to do, but we don't want to do it. Why?
Because the system is skewed towards protecting the elites. That is the honest truth. And nobody wants to say it. Nobody wants to confront the truth. Nobody wants anybody to go to jail for corruption. In actual fact, nobody wants it.
Okay. So does that mean then that we just may be in danger of not adequately attacking this terrorism, because so many of these cases are still in court for several years?
Well, thank God you are linking it to terrorism. And people may not see the link, but it's so good you have done it so seamlessly now. Because the terrorism we are seeing now is as a result of corruption. Sounds a bit flat, but that is the truth. Because terrorism is thriving because there is funding of terrorism. It is so simple to decode that you cannot sustain the operations of the Boko Haram without massive funding somewhere, somehow. Now, where is this funding coming from? It is coming from laundered money. The money laundering laws were made all over the world, not because of financial crimes, but because of terrorism. People don't know that. America made laws regarding money laundering to check activities of terrorists so that they can check the movements of funds across the world, know who is paying what to who, where the funds are coming from. Because drug money and money used to fund terrorism are monies that don't go through financial institutions. Because the law against money laundering is a law that says all transactions must go through financial institutions. And then you now have the normal policeman in all the countries. The policeman is the central banks and the financial agencies who track the movement of these funds. If you don't know these days, people don't know. The moment you pay above a certain amount to your account in the bank, automatically is generated. A warning is generated to certain financial agencies. They may not confront you, but they normally track the movement of these funds. Once they say that it is legitimate for a legitimate purpose, nobody will come and arrest you. So that they allow free flow of commerce across the country. But every day, as you pay monies into banks over certain amounts, monies are being monitored. The movements are being monitored. But that is the major thing. So the problem of terrorism, why we are not checking terrorism today, is that there's a lot of money out there that is laundered money that they are using to fund the activities of Boko Haram. That is why the government must be as serious as the terrorists too, because for people to commit such monies to fund terrorism, they also have a serious agenda. They are not playing. To commit so much resources to fight, to throw bombs all over the place, those people, they have a serious religious or political agenda. The government must also buckle up and be as serious as the terrorists now. But what we are seeing, like we say in law, it's reps ipsa loquitur. That is, this fact speaks for themselves that the government has failed to check it. If government is set up principally to protect its sovereignty, territorial sovereignty, to protect lives and properties, and these things have been happening consistently for the past 6 years. Consistently, I use that word advisedly, consistently for the past 6 years, unchecked. It shows that there's a failure of the system somewhere. Because you are set up with the DSS, the police, the regular police, the Air Force, the Navy, the Army, and then we call the customs and immigration, where the arms are coming through our borders. And foreigners bringing these arms at times, and they are unchecked. If it has been happening consistently for the past 6 years, you don't need to whip up political sentiments to clearly say that there's a failure of government somewhere.
Okay.
There's no doubt about that.
Let's take a moment. Terrorism. We got this question from Egwando Tune. He says, are lawyers not equally guilty, as it's not just policemen, but lawyers that file these in objections? So what is the NBA doing about this?
Well, we don't have a system in Nigeria, an effective system where they sanction lawyers for professional negligence or professional misconduct. The only professional misconduct that we know how to sanction in Nigeria is when you take a client's money, when you embezzle a client's money. That is, the only professional misconduct that we are used to in Nigeria. But all over the world and in advanced countries, professional misconduct does not start and end with embezzling clients' money. It's about mishandling of cases and also misleading the judicial system or engaging in acts that destroy the judicial system. So that, of course, also amount to professional misconduct in America. You'll be stripped of your license if you engage in acts or you don't correctly advise a client, or you engage in acts that are designed to either thwart justice or to destroy the administration of justice.
Now that we're talking about all of this, I wanted us to look at the efforts of the security agencies, because we have to tie this to those loose funds, which you highlighted earlier on before the break, and also see if we can have any kind of correlation with the stolen oil, you want to call it, crude oil theft and all of that, because there's no doubt that the terrorists or those who have waged war against the country have some funds from somewhere.
Look.
So we're trying to look at stolen oil, look at some of these funds that just pop up somewhere when we least suspect it.
Let me say something that the authorities will not like to hear and nobody is willing to say. Any crime at the highest level that happens consistently for many years like that, unchecked, the authorities are always involved. Let's say it the way it is, except we are fooling ourselves. The crude oil theft that's been going on for so many years, they don't steal them with jerry cans. I hope you know that. Where they hide them behind the boot of a car and smuggle them. They are smuggled with barges on the sea, high sea, with tanks and barges, with ships. I hope you know that. But you have a Nigerian Navy that patrols our sea. And so what happens? You have the SSS that's also keeping an eye on that. You have all kinds of agencies that also patrol our sea, the high seas. So where are they when these barges come in, load crude, and go out? So why are we fooling ourselves that we don't know that the authorities or those law enforcement agents are involved in this, and they make appropriate returns to certain persons in certain quarters? Why is it difficult for us to say it?
But there's also a possibility that, look, if we turn the other way, these funds could be used to fund or destabilize the country.
Absolutely, I agree entirely with you. I agree entirely with you. So we have a problem where it is corruption. Corruption in high places that is clearly funding the activities of Boko Haram. Because it is not me and you guarding our little one kobo to give to these terrorists. It's not me and you. The monies are coming from high places. So they should check themselves. Well, unfortunately, we are the victims. How can a crime be going unchecked consistently for 6 years now? Bombs are exploding, people are dying, innocent lives are being wasted, lives and limbs are going, and then you are telling me that you cannot, with all the paraphernalia of security at your disposal? What are you telling me? And then you see offensive adverts on television. You play it all the time. Or by 10 o'clock, saying that Americans stood behind their president when 9/11 happened. So stood behind. Stood behind what? Did 9/11 happen 2-3 times in a year? Was it not an isolated incident? And after that, they rallied around their president and they changed their border control policies, changed everything. How many terrorist activities have happened since then in America, since 9/11?
What should we change?
It was not 1 or 2 isolated, the Boston Marathon thing. Immediately they caught the people the next day, remember? Within 2 days, 24, 48 hours, they rounded up those Boston Marathon bombers. Immediately. Because that is how to stand behind the president, because you must have reciprocal action on the part of government. But here, you are saying to stand behind you until you kill me. Stand behind you how? When this thing has been happening consistently for 6 years, unchecked, each time it's just like you photocopy the same statement, you come out, you condemn it and say, Nigerians, be watchful and be careful. When it happens, you condemn the incident. The next day it happens, you condemn the incident and tell us to be watchful. And people are dying.
What would you
and
want?
we are not seeing practical, you are not stopping it.
Mr. Keyamo,